Hello there everyone, and welcome to another edition of Lydia's Crafty Corner with me, Lydia, in my little crafty corner. So today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be creating a little gift to pop on the front of your card so the recipient has something to keep. So to start with, I am going to be using the Crafter Flower Anemone, and instead of cutting this out of cardstock, I am going to be using some felt. So I have various colours of felt here to use. So I'm going to go with like a pinky purple colour. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to cut the base image that we have here, and you can see in the guide that it does tell me to cut this out of my lightest shade. So I'm just going to pop these into position onto my piece of felt and run that through my mini blossom machine. I am using my metal shim just to make sure that these do cut perfectly the first time. So using my metal shim, I found that I only needed to run this through once. So that was really good, and it made the process a little bit quicker. So as you can see, I've just ran that through once and these have cut perfectly. So that is my base layer. And now I'm going to move on to my second layer. So I have my mid shade of felt here, but you can use cardstock if you wanted to. You don't have to use felt. So I'm just going to pop again my little metal shim on the top of those before I do run that through my machine. And again, these will cut perfectly the first time depending on the density of felt that you are using. Mine is quite thin, but it's still very pretty and very felty. So once I have done the second layer, I can then move on to the third layer. So I have like a burgundy purpley color here. Just going to pop then into position onto my felt. Again, use my metal shim because these ones are quite detailed, and again I only had to run that through once, which was very surprising to me, but it was really a happy surprise because it does take some time to run that through there. So once I have all of my little pieces for my flowers, I'm then going to move on to the flower centers. So I just have a really dark charcoal kind of grey for the inside of my flower centers. You could use a green if you don't have any black or grey felt there. So I'm just going to run that through again with my little metal shim just to make sure that that does cut perfectly. You will have to be careful when removing the little pieces because felt can be quite delicate. I'm then going to move on to the leaves, and again I have 3 shades of green here. So I'm just going to pop that onto my little plate and run that through my die cutting machine. I do cut a total of 3 leaves, so 3 for each of the layers, but I didn't in fact use the top layer for 2 of the leaves. So I'm just going to show you that later on. So I'm just going to cut 3 of these leaves so I can have 2 leaves on one of the little hair clips and 1 leaf on the other. I'm then going to move on to the second layer. So this is my mid-tone of green that I have of the felt. And again, I'm using my metal shim just to make sure that that does cut perfectly. Again, these can be quite delicate, so just be quite careful when you remove those from the outside piece of felt. And again, I'm going to cut this another 2 times, so then I can have 3 leaves for my 2 flowers. You know me and my odds, I do love a good odd number of leaves. So again, this is the last of the second layer, and I really do love this color of felt. So once I have done that, I'm then going to do the third layer of the leaves. And like I said, my felt was quite delicate, so I did rip these a little bit. So I did in fact just use 1 of these for my leaves. So 2 of the leaves had 2 layers, and then 3 of the leaves had 3 layers, but I don't find that that really made much of a difference to the overall effect of the card or the little hairpins. I still think they look really quite sweet. So I'm just going to finish this off by cutting 3 of those, even though I only used 1 of them. So once that has been done, I can then go ahead and stick these together. I am using felt and foam glue. So I do find that having a felt glue really does help when sticking these together, as it grabs pretty quickly. When you do use this though, it is sticky, so you need to be careful with getting this everywhere. Also, when you have popped the layers together, it's always an idea to kind of put something really heavy on them so they sit while they dry and then kind of meld into each other. So I'm just going to pop these together, and I am using the guide that is on the die set to help me pop these in the right places. If you're not quite sure of where they should go, always kind of line them up before you do add the adhesive on there, and that's going to help you out. I'm just removing any of the inside pieces from the little felt pieces before I do glue them and then stick them into place. So I'm just adding little dips and drops of the glue just to the little various pieces, just to make sure that they're going to stick nice and well. This one was quite delicate, so around the edges I had to be quite careful while adding the glue. So I am just going to add little dots on there and to these little pieces as well. Don't worry if it does splodge out the side, this glue will dry clear, so it's not going to be that noticeable. So I'm just going to pop this into place, making sure those delicate areas are down first, and then I'm going to add the little center in there. So once this one has done, I'm then going to pop that over to the side again, just adding a little bit of weight onto the top of them while they dry. So now we're on to the leaves, and I have the base and the second layer. So all of these I did use because they kind of stuck together perfectly, so I was good to go on these ones. So all these do is just fit within that base layer. I would always recommend popping your adhesive or glue on the back of the die cut that you want to stick down, because this one relatively has a little bit more space than less space than the other one, so there's not going to be as much glue showing, hopefully. So I am going to just pop these into place, and then I did try adding the third layer of the leaves, but as my felt was quite not as dense as it should have been, some of it did kind of tear off, so I decided just to go with one of these layers, and I left the other two leaves as they were. So once that was done, all I needed to do then was just add another little bit of a weight onto the top of these, a little bit more weight, and then leave these to dry. So once they were all nice and dry, you can see just how pretty they are. The leaves don't look that different. I like them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my little hair clips that I have onto my little foam pieces. Now I am going to be using a hot glue gun, so you do want to be careful with this, and I do find that the silicone mat from Altenew is a really great place to do your hot gluing. So I am going to just pop the leaves on first, and I'm just going to add these into place with a little bit of that wet glue. I'm adding 2 of the leaves onto this flower, one with the 3 layer and then one with the 2 layer, and then once I'm happy with that, I'm then going to add my little hair clip. So these are just little hair clips that I had lying around. I can't remember where I got them from, but I do have them in my stash and I am going to use them. So I'm just going to pop that into place using a lot of hot glue there, just to make sure that it is going to stick perfectly. Then I'm going to move on to the second smaller flower, add one of the leaves to there, and then again add a really large dot of that hot glue, just making sure that this is going to stick that little hair clip that we have there. So once these are dried, you now have some really pretty hair clips. So you could add a brooch back on the back if you wanted to. They don't necessarily have to be hair clips, it's completely up to you. So once I have those, I then have a strip of white card that is going to fit onto my card base, and I'm just going to add these little hair clips into place onto that strip. So this means that we can play around with the placement of these, and it also means that you can kind of remove them and then pop them back on if you wanted to. So once I'm happy with the arrangement that I have on my little cardstock strip there, I'm then just going to pop it into place where it's going to live on my little card base. So I have the Across the Pond stamp set, and I thought this sentiment here that says "you shine like a fine piece of jewelry" would be perfect for this card. So I'm just going to pop that into place, and I am stamping that using some Obsidian ink, but you could use a different ink if you wanted to. Once that's done, I'm going to flip my little strip over, and I'm just going to add some foam tape behind this. You are going to want to add some foam tape because you do have those little clips that you want to keep in place. Just don't go over those clips or they will not be able to be removed. So once that's nicely in position, here is the card complete. I really love the texture on this one, and also that you are giving a little gift with your card as well. So I really do hope that you like the card and that you've enjoyed the video. If you do create a card that was inspired by this, it would be great if you do share, because we'd love to see. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I hope that you have a beautifully crafty day. See you soon. Bye-bye. Hello there, crafty friend, Lydia here. Just popping in to say that you can get your daily dose of crafting tips, techniques, and tutorials just like this by subscribing to the Altenew YouTube channel. All you need to do is click on that little bell up there and you will never miss a video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.